I've been on the force for 12 years now, starting out as a beat cop in the city before moving up to undercover work. My name is Marcus Thompson, and at 35, I've seen my share of rough situations. But nothing prepares you for the everyday sting of being judged just for existing. They assigned me to patrol Oakwood Estates, this upscale suburban neighborhood where the houses are big and the lawns are perfect. All to keep an eye on some rising petty crimes without scaring off the residents. I dressed down for it, sweatpants, a hoodie, running shoes, to look like any other guy out for a jog. Blending in while I observe? Welcome to Melina's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I read every single comment, and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this. That morning, the sun was just breaking through the trees, and the air had that crisp feel you get in early fall. I started my route at the edge of the park, looping around the manicured streets, noting the usual. Kids heading to school buses, dog walkers chatting. My earbuds were in, but no music playing. It's a trick to stay alert without looking like it. I'd been doing this for weeks, getting familiar with the faces, the routines. But today felt off from the start. I noticed this one house, a 2-story colonial with a pristine white fence, and the guy inside peeking through his blinds. He was white, middle-aged, looked like he belonged in a suit selling houses or something. I kept my pace steady, not making eye contact, just doing my thing. As I rounded the corner, I heard sirens in the distance getting closer fast. My instincts kicked in. I slowed down, scanned the area, but nothing seemed out of place. Then 2 patrol cars pulled up sharp, lights flashing but no sirens now, blocking my path. Officers jumped out, hands on their holsters, yelling at me to stop and put my hands up. My heart pounded, not from fear exactly, but from that familiar anger bubbling up. I've been here before, too many times. Hands where we can see them, now. One officer shouted, a young guy I recognized from the precinct, Officer Ramirez. His partner, an older woman named Sergeant Hale, flanked him, her eyes narrowing as she assessed me. I raised my hands slowly, keeping my voice calm. Officers, I'm not armed. What's this about? Ramirez stepped forward. We got a call about a suspicious individual matching your description. Jogging around, looking into houses? You got ID? Suspicious. That word hit like a slap. I knew exactly what it meant in a place like this. Yeah, I do, but let me reach for it slow, okay? It's in my pocket. Hale nodded. Do it carefully, no sudden moves. I pulled out my wallet, flipped it open to show my badge. Detective Marcus Thompson, undercover. I'm assigned here. Their postures relaxed instantly. Ramirez's eyes went wide. Detective? Shit, sorry about that. Dispatch said possible burglar casing the area. I lowered my hands, but the anger didn't fade. Who called it in? Hale glanced back toward the house I'd noticed. Homeowner over there. Said you looked out of place, acting shady. Out of place, there it was again. I turned and saw him now, standing on his porch, arms crossed, watching with a smug look. He was dressed in khakis and a polo shirt, like he was heading to a golf course. I started walking toward him, the officers following. Sir, is this the man you reported? Hale asked him. The guy nodded, not backing down. Yeah, that's him. He's been running around here for days, staring at properties. Doesn't live here. I know everyone in the neighborhood. We've had break-ins lately, you know. I stopped a few feet away, staring him down. I'm Detective Thompson. I'm the one patrolling to stop those break-ins. You called the cops on me for doing my job? His face flushed a bit, but he didn't apologize. Well, how was I supposed to know? You don't look like a cop. Jogging in those clothes, no uniform. Anyone would think the same? Anyone? I repeated, my voice low. Or just someone who sees a black man and assumes the worst? He shifted uncomfortably. Hey, don't make this about race. I'm just protecting my community. Property values are high here for a reason. We don't need trouble. Trouble, like I was the problem. Neighbors were starting to gather now, peeking from windows or stepping out onto their lawns, whispering. An older lady across the street shook her head, looking embarrassed for him. A couple of kids on bikes slowed down to watch. Ramirez cleared his throat. Sir, the detective's identity checks out. False alarm. The guy, his name was Richard Harlan, I'd learned later from the report, crossed his arms tighter. Fine, but next time, maybe wear a badge or something. Make it obvious. I laughed, but it was bitter. Obvious? I'm undercover for a reason. You think criminals announce themselves? He muttered something under his breath, then turned back inside, slamming his door. The officers apologized again, but I waved it off. Just file the report. I'll handle it from here. As they drove away, I stood there for a minute, feeling the eyes on me. The humiliation burned, being treated like a criminal in front of everyone, just because of how I looked. I'd faced this crap growing up, but now with a badge, it stung deeper. I pulled out my phone, noted his address. This wasn't over. If he thought he could brush it off, he was wrong. Back in my car a block away, I replayed it all. Richard's words echoed. Protecting the community, property values. It wasn't just caution, it felt personal, targeted. I'd heard stories like this, but living it fueled something in me. I radioed into the station, requested the call recording. Dispatch sent it over quick. Listening to it, his voice clipped. There's a black guy jogging, looks suspicious, out of place. Send someone fast. Out of place. Yeah, that sealed it. I wasn't letting this slide. Not just for me, but for anyone else he might pull this on. I started digging into the dispatch logs right there, seeing if this was a one-off or a pattern. Sure enough, a few other calls from the same number reporting suspicious people. Delivery drivers, gardeners, all minorities. My mind raced. Who was this guy? A quick search on my phone showed he was a real estate agent, specializing in exclusive neighborhoods. That fit. Keeping the area upscale probably meant keeping people like me out. I felt a fire building. This wasn't just a mistake. It was prejudice wrapped in concern. I drove back to the station, the incident looping in my head. By the time I got there, I was determined. I'd turn this around, expose whatever he was hiding behind that smug front. Little did I know, this was just the start of uncovering something bigger. I stood there on the sidewalk, the patrol cars pulling away, leaving me facing Richard's house. The neighbors were still out, some pretending to water plants or check mail, but their eyes were glued to us. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, that mix of rage and shame from being put on display like some criminal. Richard stepped off his porch now, walking toward me with that entitled stride, like he owned the whole street. He was shorter than I expected up close, maybe 5'9", with a paunch straining his polo shirt, and his face was red. Not from embarrassment, but from being challenged. You think you can just flash a badge and make this go away? He said, pointing a finger at me. I pay taxes for this neighborhood to stay safe. People like you jogging around looking all casual, it's suspicious, plain and simple. I clenched my fists, keeping my voice steady. People like me? What's that supposed to mean? Richard, you saw a black man exercising and decided to call the cops. That's not caution, that's profiling. He scoffed, crossing his arms. Don't twist my words, I've lived here 20 years. I know who belongs and who doesn't. You're not from around here, I can tell. What, you think because you're a cop, you get a free pass to snoop? I took a step closer, not aggressive, but enough to make him flinch a bit. Snoop, I'm patrolling to protect places like this from actual threats. But you? You see me and assume I'm the problem. The officers confirmed who I am. An apology would be nice right about now. The older lady across the street, Mrs. Ellis, I'd seen her walking her dog before, called out from her yard. Richard, maybe you should just say sorry. The man's doing his job. Richard turned to her, waving her off. Mind your own, Gladys. This is between me and him. And no, I'm not apologizing for being vigilant. We've had cars broken into last month. Better safe than sorry. I shook my head, the humiliation sinking in deeper as more neighbors gathered. A young couple from next door whispered to each other, and I caught snippets. Did he really call the cops on a jogger? It felt like I was on trial in front of the whole block. Vigilant? You described me as shady-looking on the call? That's not about safety. That's about your biases, admit it. He laughed, a short barking sound. Biases? Please, I'm a real estate agent. I sell homes here. I know what keeps values up. Strangers wandering around don't help. If you were in uniform, fine, but dressed like that, you look like you could be anyone. Anyone meaning what? I pressed, my voice rising despite myself. A thug? A burglar? Say it out loud, Richard. That's what you thought, isn't it? He glanced around, noticing the crowd now, about a dozen people, some nodding at my words, others looking uncomfortable. I'm not saying that, but yeah, in this area we expect a certain standard. You blending in like that, it's confusing. Maybe next time announce yourself or something. I felt a knot in my stomach, the kind that comes from years of swallowing this crap. Announce myself? For jogging? That's ridiculous. You humiliated me in front of everyone, and you won't even own up to it. Mrs. Ellis piped up again. He's right, Richard. That was uncalled for. Apologize and let it go. Richard shot her a glare. Stay out of it, Gladys. This guy's trying to make me the bad guy. I was protecting us all. A man from down the street, tall with gray hair, Mr. Patel, I think, joined in. Protecting? From a cop? Come on, man, that's embarrassing for you. Richard's face turned beet red now. Embarrassing? He's the one lurking around without ID showing. If he was white, maybe I'd think differently, but he stopped himself. But it was too late. The words hung there, and the neighbors murmured. I seized on it. There it is. If I was white, that's the truth coming out. You targeted me because of my race, plain and simple. He backpedaled fast. I didn't mean it like that. Slipped up. But seriously, anyone would call if they saw someone out of place. Out of place, I repeated, loud enough for everyone to hear. That's code for not belonging because I'm black. You do this often? Check the logs. You've called on others before, delivery guys, gardeners. All minorities. He blinked, surprised I knew that. How do you— That's private. You're spying on me now? It's public record for police, I said, and it shows a pattern. This isn't caution, it's prejudice. The crowd was shifting, some shaking their heads at him. A woman with a stroller said, "Richard, that's not right. We all live here together." He turned on her. "Oh, now you're all against me? Fine. But mark my words, if something happens, don't come crying." I stood my ground. Nothing's happening except you exposing yourself. This ends now, or I'll make sure the department looks into your calls. He smirked, though it looked forced. Threaten me? Good luck. I know people on the city council. They'll back me up. The humiliation peaked then. Standing there argued with like I was nothing, even with my badge. But it lit a fire. I wasn't backing down. We'll see about that. This isn't over. As he stormed back inside, slamming the door again, the neighbors dispersed slowly. Mrs. Ellis walked over. "I'm sorry about him, Detective. He's always been a bit territorial." I nodded, forcing a smile. "Thanks, but I need to dig into this. Something's off with him." She hesitated. "Well, he's in real estate. Always talking about keeping the neighborhood pure. You know what that means." Yeah, I did. It meant exclusion. As I walked back to my car, the sting lingered, but so did my resolve. Richard wasn't just a nosy neighbor, he had an agenda. I'd find out what and make him regret that call. Back at the station later that afternoon, I sat at my desk, the incident replaying. My partner, Detective Lena Cruz, swung by. "Heard about the mix-up. You okay?" I leaned back. "Not really." Guy doubled down, no apology. "Made it about race without saying it outright." She frowned. "Asshole? Want me to pull his file?" "Yeah," I said. "Let's see what else he's been up to." We accessed the system, and sure enough, more calls. 5 in the last year, all on people of color. "Pattern here," Lena said. "And look, he's on the HOA board. Pushes for rules that keep undesirables out." I rubbed my temples. Undesirables, that's me apparently. Humiliating, but it's motivation. "I'll talk to more neighbors tomorrow." She nodded. "Be careful. Guys like him fight dirty." As the day ended, I drove home, the public scene still burning. But I wasn't the victim here. I was the one with the power to expose him. That thought carried me through. I drove straight to the station after that humiliating showdown on the street, my mind racing with everything Richard had said. The way he doubled down without a shred of remorse stuck with me, like a bad taste I couldn't shake. I parked in the lot, grabbed my notebook, and headed inside. Nodding to the desk sergeant as I passed, the place was buzzing as usual, phones ringing, officers chatting over coffee. But I tuned it all out, focused on getting to my desk. Lena was already there, typing up a report. She looked up when I dropped into my chair. "You look pissed. What happened after the patrol cars left?" I leaned back, rubbing my eyes. The guy confronted me right there on the sidewalk. No apology, just more excuses about protecting the neighborhood. I slipped up and basically admitted it was because I'm black. "Neighbors saw the whole thing. Some backed me, but it was embarrassing as hell." She whistled low. "Damn, Marcus, that's rough. You recording any of it?" "No, but the initial call's on file. I already requested it. Pull it up for me?" Lena nodded and logged into the system, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Here it is. Dispatch recording from this morning." I put on my headphones and hit play. Richard's voice came through clear, a bit breathless, like he was excited. "Yeah, there's this black guy jogging through Oakwood Estates. Looks shady, out of place. He's been circling the block, staring at houses. Send someone quick. We don't need that kind here." I paused it, feeling that anger surge again. "Shady? Out of place? That's code for racist bullshit. He didn't say that about the white joggers I've seen out there." Lena agreed, crossing her arms. "Classic. And that kind? Subtle, huh? Let's check his history." "Same number?" "Yeah, pull the dispatch logs for the last couple years." She queried the database and a list popped up. "Whoa, look at this. 6 calls in 18 months. All on suspicious persons, a black delivery driver lingering too long, a Latino gardener taking a break, even a black couple walking their dog at dusk. Described them all as not belonging or looking sketchy. No calls on white folks doing the same." I scanned the screen, noting the dates. Pattern for sure. This isn't random vigilance, it's targeted. He's got a thing against people of color in his precious neighborhood. Lena raised an eyebrow. Motivated by what, fear or something else? Good question. Let's dig into his background. Run a basic check, public records, social media, whatever we can without a warrant. She switched tabs and started searching. Richard Harlan, age 52, real estate agent with Harlan Properties. Lives alone in that house, divorced 5 years ago. Active on the HOA board, pushes for strict covenants. Here's his Facebook, mostly posts about neighborhood events. But check this, proud to keep Oakwood upscale and safe. No room for undesirables lowering our standards. I leaned in. Undesirables, there's that word again. And look at the comments, some likes from other agents, but a few pushbacks he deletes quick. Yeah, and Twitter, or X, he's got an account. Recent tweet, why do certain people think they can just wander into high-end areas? Stick to your own. Hashtags like neighborhood watch and property values. I jotted notes, my determination growing. This ties back to his job. As a realtor, he benefits from keeping the area exclusive. Diverse buyers might scare off his wealthy clients. Lena nodded. Makes sense, money motive, but we need more to build a case. Any formal complaints against him? Check the Better Business Bureau or local reviews. She pulled up a site. Couple of one-star reviews on his agency page. One from a black family. Discouraged us from bidding on a house in Oakwood. Said it wasn't a good fit. Felt racially motivated. He responded defensively, calling it a misunderstanding. I felt a spark of outrage for them. That's leverage. If we can connect the dots, show a pattern of discrimination, it could lead to an investigation. But we're cops, not EEOC, Lena said. What's our angle? Harassment via false reports? Exactly. Wasting police resources with biased calls. If it's ongoing, we can push for charges or at least a warning. She thought for a second. Talk to the victims? See if they'll statement. Good idea. Start with the most recent, the black couple from last month. I have their contact from the log. I picked up the phone and dialed. A woman answered, sounding wary. Hello? Ma'am, this is Detective Marcus Thompson with the department. I'm following up on a call made about you and your husband walking in Oakwood Estates last month. Do you have a minute? She hesitated. Sure, that was weird. We were just visiting friends and suddenly cops show up saying someone reported us as suspicious. Yeah, I know the feeling. Happened to me today. Same caller. Can you tell me what happened? She sighed. We parked on the street, walked to the house. This guy from across the way stares us down, then we see him on his phone. Cops arrive, ask for ID. Humiliating, especially with our kids watching from the car. I'm sorry you went through that. Did he say anything to you directly? No, but later our friend said he's always complaining about outsiders. We're thinking of moving nearby, but now, not sure. I noted it down. Would you be willing to give a formal statement? We're looking into a pattern. Absolutely. That man's got issues. When and where? Station tomorrow morning? I'll buy the coffee? She laughed lightly. Deal. See you then. I hung up, turning to Lena. She's in. That's one witness. Nice. And check this. I found his LinkedIn. He's got connections to city council members, posts about lobbying for tougher zoning laws. I frowned. Power play. Explains why he thinks he can get away with this. But if we gather enough, even his buddies won't save him. Lena printed out the logs and posts. Here's your starter file. What next? Discreet canvass tomorrow. Talk to more neighbors without tipping them off. Mrs. Ellis seemed sympathetic. Start there. Sounds good, but watch your back. If he catches wind, he might escalate. I nodded, stacking the papers. Anger and duty got me this far. Won't stop now. As the shift ended, I headed home, the file under my arm. My apartment was quiet, just me and the takeout I grabbed. I spread everything out on the table, reviewing it again. The call recordings, the logs, the social media, it all painted a picture of a man using his position to exclude people like me. It wasn't just personal anymore. It was about stopping this crap for good. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Back off, cop. Mind your own business. I stared at it, heart picking up. Had to be Richard. How'd he get my number? I saved it, added to the file. If he was trying to intimidate, it only fueled me more. I called Lena quick. Hey, got a threatening text. Trace this number? On it tomorrow. Sleep, Marcus. We got this. I tried, but sleep didn't come easy. The day's humiliation mixed with these clues, pushing me to expose him. Tomorrow, the real digging started. I woke up early the next morning. That threatening text from last night still fresh in my mind. I saved it as evidence, figuring it was Richard trying to scare me off. But it only made me more determined to dig deeper. After a quick coffee, I headed back to Oakwood Estates, but this time I changed my approach. No jogging gear. I dressed like a regular guy in jeans and a button-up shirt, posing as a concerned resident new to the area. My goal was to chat with neighbors without raising alarms, starting with Mrs. Ellis, who seemed open yesterday. I parked a few blocks away and walked over, knocking on her door around 9. She answered with a warm smile, her little dog yapping at her feet. Detective Thompson, come on in. I figured you'd stop by after that scene yesterday. I stepped inside her cozy living room, filled with family photos and knitted blankets. Thanks, Mrs. Ellis. Call me Marcus. I'm not here officially yet, just trying to understand Richard better. That call on me wasn't random, and I want to know why he targets certain people. She nodded, pouring us some tea. Gladys, please, sit down. Richard's been here forever, but he's changed. Used to be friendly, but after his divorce, he got obsessed with the neighborhood. He's a real estate agent, sells most of the houses around here. Always talking about keeping things upscale. I sipped the tea, keeping my tone casual. Upscale? What does that mean to him? Gladys leaned in, lowering her voice. Well, he discourages buyers who don't fit his idea of the place. I overheard him once on the phone, telling a black family the schools weren't great here. Even though they're top-rated, said it to scare them off. Property values, he claims. But it's more than that. He wants it all white picket fences and matching faces. That hit close. Sounds like discrimination. Has he done this before? Oh yes, she said, setting her cup down. Last year, a Latino couple looked at the house next door. Richard hosted an HOA meeting right after, pushing for new rules on visitor parking that would have made it hard for them. They backed out. And online, he's always posting about it. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshots from yesterday. Like these, complaining about certain types lowering values? She glanced and nodded. Exactly. He's on those neighborhood forums too. Let me show you. She grabbed her tablet and pulled up a local Facebook group. Let's see this post from a month ago. We need to be vigilant against outsiders who don't respect our standards. Property values depend on it. Got likes from his agent buddies. I scrolled through, spotting more. One thread where he argued against affordable housing nearby. That'll bring in the wrong crowd. Stick to your own areas. My outrage built. This wasn't just bias, it was business. This aligns with why he called on me. Saw me as a threat to his upscale image. Gladys sighed. Sad, isn't it? I've lived here 30 years, seen it diversify a bit, but Richard fights it. His ex-wife left because of his attitude, too controlling. Any proof of him steering buyers away? I asked, noting names from the posts. She thought for a moment. Talked to the Patels down the street. They bought despite him. He tried to block their offer, said the house had issues, but they pushed through. I thanked her and headed out, walking to the Patels' house. Mr. Patel answered, a tall man in his 60s with a kind face. Can I help you? Marcus Thompson, I said, shaking his hand. I'm looking into some neighborhood stuff. Heard you had dealings with Richard Harlan when buying your home. He invited me in, his wife joining us in the kitchen. Ah, Richard. Yes, he was the listing agent. We loved the house, but he kept saying it wasn't a good fit. Mentioned cultural differences might make us uncomfortable. We saw through it. We're Indian, and he wanted white buyers for higher commissions or something. Mrs. Patel chimed in. He even delayed paperwork, hoping we'd drop out. But we complained to his boss, and it went through. Now he barely nods at us. I nodded, piecing it together. Sounds like a pattern. He's protecting his financial interests, keeping the area exclusive to attract wealthy clients. Mr. Patel agreed. Definitely. Check his website. Testimonials are all from similar families. No diversity. Back in my car, I pulled up his real estate site on my phone. Sure enough, photos of smiling white couples, bios bragging about maintaining premier communities. Then I dove deeper into his X account, finding threads railing against urban spillover affecting suburbs. One post, real estate tip, choose areas free from certain elements that drag down equity. Keep it classy? My blood boiled. This tied everything. His call on me was to scare off anyone who didn't fit, preserving his market. But it fueled my outrage more. He wasn't just prejudiced, he profited from it. I texted Lena, got neighbor intel, Richard steering buyers for money, more online rants. She replied quick, solid, meet at station, pull public records on his sales. I drove over, the pieces clicking. At the station, Lena had a stack ready. Look, his sales history. 90% to white buyers in Oakwood. Complaints filed with the real estate board, but dismissed. Probably his connections. We cross-referenced with the call logs. Every time a diverse buyer tours, he makes a suspicious call nearby. Coincidence? No way. I leaned back. This is it, motives uncovered, protecting his wallet at our expense. But as we worked, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown text. Stop snooping or regret it. I showed Lena. He's watching. She traced it fast. Burner phone, but linked to a coffee shop near his office. Idiot. The thread only hardened me. I'd turn this around, use it against him. With neighbors talking and evidence mounting, his facade was cracking. I called the black couple from yesterday. Still good for that statement? Yes, the woman said. After what you told me, definitely. He's cost people homes. Good, see you soon. As the day wrapped, I felt the shift from humiliated to empowered. Richard's motives were clear, money and control. But I had the upper hand now, ready to build more evidence. Little did he know, his threats were just adding fuel. With the neighbor intel fresh in my mind, I headed back to the station that afternoon, my head buzzing with Richard's motives. Money and control, that's what drove him, keeping Oakwood exclusive to line his pockets. I couldn't let it slide. This was bigger than my humiliation. Lena was waiting at her desk with a fresh pot of coffee, and I filled her in on the talks with Gladys and the Patels. "He's steering buyers away for profit," I said, sliding into my chair. "We need hard evidence now, public records, anything to show his history." Lena nodded, cracking her knuckles before diving into the keyboard. "Let's start with complaints. I'll pull from the city database and the real estate board." As the results loaded, she pointed to the screen. "Look here, 3 formal complaints against Harlan Properties in the last 2 years, all from minority clients claiming discriminatory practices. One's a black entrepreneur who said Richard blocked his bid on a commercial space nearby, calling it not suitable despite qualifications." I leaned in, scanning the details. That's gold. And check this, minor infractions against minority-owned businesses in the area. Noise complaints, parking violations, all filed by anonymous tips, but traced back to his IP on some forums. "Anonymous my ass," Lena muttered. "He's using throwaways. Motive? Those businesses attract diverse crowds, which he sees as threats to property values." We kept digging, and I pulled up the neighborhood security cams, public access ones from the park entrance. I need footage from the morning of the incident. If it shows him watching me without cause, that's visual proof of targeting. Lena hacked into the feed legally, with our credentials. "Got it. Timestamp matches your jog. There he is, on his porch, phone in hand, staring right at you as you run by. No threat, no nothing, just you exercising. He dials right after." I saved the clip to our file. "Perfect. This plus the call log shows intent. No way it's coincidence." But as we compiled, my phone rang. Gladys. "Marcus? Richard's calling an emergency HOA meeting tonight. Says it's about community safety concerns. I think he knows you're asking questions." I glanced at Lena. "Thanks for the heads up. I'll be there, low-key." She hesitated. "Be careful, he's riled up." I hung up and turned to Lena. "He's on to us. Meeting tonight, probably to rally against me." Lena frowned. "Go, but record it. I'll keep building here. Pull his emails if we can, public records request." By evening, I showed up at the community center, blending in with a baseball cap and casual clothes. About 20 neighbors gathered, Richard at the front, pacing like a caged animal. He spotted me but didn't call me out yet. "Thanks for coming, folks," he started, his voice tight. "We've got issues, strangers harassing residents, overstepping bounds." Mrs. Patel raised her hand. "What strangers, Richard? Be specific." He shot her a look. "You know who. That undercover cop's been snooping, talking to people, making accusations. It's harassment. We need to file a group complaint to the department." I stayed quiet at first, letting him dig. Gladys spoke up. "Harassment? He was just asking about your calls to the police, like the one on him or on the delivery guys." Richard's face reddened. "That's twisting facts. I'm protecting us. Property values dropped 2% last quarter because of transients." "Transients?" Mr. Patel scoffed. "You mean people of color? We've heard about your steering tactics." The room murmured, and Richard pointed at me suddenly. "See? He's turning you against me. This is reverse discrimination. I demand he stops or we'll go to the council." I stood up then, keeping calm. "Richard, I'm investigating false reports wasting police time. Your pattern of calls targets minorities. We've got logs, footage of you watching me jog innocently." He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Footage? That's invasion of privacy. You're abusing your power." "No," I said firmly. "Public cams and complaints from clients you discriminated against. It's all adding up." A few neighbors nodded, but one older guy, probably his friend, backed him. "Richard's right. We don't need this drama. Back off, detective." Gladys jumped in. "No, let's hear the evidence. Richard, explain those complaints." He stammered. "Misunderstandings. Business is competitive. But this cop's harassing me. Texts, questions. I'll sue if it continues." I raised an eyebrow. "Texts? You mean the threats you sent me? We've traced them." The room gasped, and Richard backtracked. "What? I didn't. That's a lie." Lena texted me then. "Got more emails to council pushing anti-diversity zoning. Sending now." I pulled up my phone, showing the group. "Here's proof, emails from Richard to officials arguing against inclusive housing. Keeps out undesirables," he wrote. Mrs. Patel stood. "That's disgusting. We've felt it firsthand." Richard slammed his hand on the table. "This is a setup. You're all buying his story. I'll handle this legally." As the meeting broke into chaos, I slipped out, heart pounding from the indirect confrontation. Back at the station late that night, Lena and I reviewed. "Good call recording the meeting," she said. "His accusations backfired, shows he's defensive." We added the audio to the file. along with the emails she'd pulled through a quick public info request. History of complaints against minority businesses. He reported a black-owned cafe for health violations that were bogus, got them fined. I nodded. Stacking up. Video of him staring, call patterns, emails, witness statements incoming. He's slipping. But then my phone buzzed, a voicemail from an unknown number. Richard's voice seething. You think you're clever? Keep pushing and you'll regret it. I have friends in high places. I played it for Lena. More evidence. Trace this too. She did. His office line. Dumb move. The evidence was building solid now. But Richard's wind of our questions led to this meeting confrontation. It was a reversal. He tried to accuse me of harassment, but it exposed him more. My outrage turned to strategy. We were counterattacking, and soon he'd be silenced. I drove home that night, the file thicker. Tomorrow, the witness statement from the black couple. This was escalating, and I was ready for whatever he threw next. I woke up the next morning with a knot in my stomach, knowing the HOA meeting last night had rattled Richard even more. I checked my phone first thing, and sure enough, there was another voicemail from him. But this one was calmer, almost smug. You'll see, Detective, I'm not backing down. I saved it, adding it to the growing file, then headed to the station early to meet the black couple for their statement. They arrived right on time, a professional-looking pair in their 40s, the wife carrying a folder of their own notes. Thanks for coming in, I said, shaking their hands and leading them to an interview room. I'm Marcus Thompson. Let's get this on record. The husband, Jamal, nodded firmly. No problem. I'm Jamal Washington. This is my wife, Keisha. That call Richard made on us while we were walking? It shook us up bad. We were just visiting my sister, and suddenly cops are questioning us like we're criminals. Keisha leaned forward, her voice steady but edged with anger. It was humiliating. Our kids were in the car, watching the whole thing. He described us as suspicious loiterers on the call. We heard the replay later. But we know it's because we're black. We've dealt with this before, but in a so-called nice neighborhood? Unacceptable. I nodded, starting the recorder. Tell me everything from the start. Did he interact with you directly? Jamal shook his head. No, but we saw him watching from his window, phone in hand. After the cops left, my sister told us he's done it to others. We even looked him up, saw his real estate posts about keeping the area pure. That's why we're here. We want this on file. Keisha pulled out her folder. Here's our timeline, plus screenshots of his online rants. If you're building a case, use it. I reviewed the pages quickly, matched what we had, but with personal details that strengthened it. This is helpful. We'll add it to the evidence, sign here, and we're good. As they left, I felt a boost. Their statement was solid, another piece locking in his pattern. Lena swung by my desk. How'd it go? Great, I said, more ammo. But check this, voicemail from Richard this morning. Sounds like he's planning something. She listened, frowning. Smug bastard, let's see what he's up to. We didn't have to wait long. By midday, my captain called me into his office. Captain Reeves, a no-nonsense guy in his 50s, sat behind his desk with a stack of papers. Thompson, sit down. We got a formal complaint from a Richard Harlan. Claims you're harassing him, reverse discrimination, demanding reassignment from Oakwood. I leaned back, not surprised. Captain, it's a counterattack. He's the one who called the cops on me for jogging undercover. I've got evidence of his biased calls, discrimination in real estate. Reeves rubbed his chin. He copied the city council, his buddies there, puts pressure on us. Says you're abusing power, sending threats. Threats? I shot back. He's the one texting and calling me. We've traced them. Show me what you have, Reeves said, crossing his arms. I pulled out the file, call logs, cam video, emails, meeting audio, texts, voicemails, now the Washington statement. Look, pattern of targeting minorities. Complaints against his business. He's protecting his real estate empire by excluding people like me. Reeves flipped through it, nodding slowly. Solid start, but he's claiming you're biased because of the incident, wants an internal review. I felt the pressure building, but I wasn't backing down. Let them review. I'll take it to internal affairs myself. Put a hold on his complaint until we investigate him for false reports and harassment. He thought for a moment. All right, do it, but keep it clean, no leaks. We don't need media on this yet. I left his office and headed straight to internal affairs down the hall. Sergeant Mills, a sharp woman who'd handled bias cases before, listened as I laid it out. Harlan's filing against me, but here's why. Retaliation for my investigation. She reviewed the file. This looks promising. We'll open a prelim on both sides, but your evidence warrants a hold on his complaint. I'll notify the captain. By afternoon, it was done, his complaint temporarily frozen. I texted Lena. Countered. Hold in place. But Richard wasn't done. Late that day, I got alerts on my phone, new posts on the neighborhood Facebook group and his ex account. Police overreach in Oakwood. Undercover cop harassing residents for doing their civic duty. Reverse racism, protect our neighborhood. Comments poured in, some supporting him. We stand with Richard, safety first. But others pushed back. This is about his bigotry. Glad someone's calling him out. Gladys texted me. Saw his posts. He's rallying his friends. Be careful. I showed Lena. He's spreading rumors to silence me, trying to turn public opinion. She scrolled through. Look, he's tagging council members, but we can counter quietly. Add these posts to the file shows escalation. I nodded, saving screenshots. Yeah, it backfires on him, makes him look desperate. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Turned out to be a reporter from the local paper. Detective Thompson? Tip came in about a dispute in Oakwood, resident claiming police harassment. Care to comment? I kept it professional. No comment at this time. Ongoing investigation. After hanging up, I realized Richard must have tipped them, hoping for bad press. But it reversed on him. Next morning, I woke to more texts. Lena, check online. His posts are backfiring. I pulled up X. Threads calling him out. Richard Harlan's history of discrimination exposed. Ajax Oakwood bias. Links to old complaints, even anonymous shares from past clients. Then Captain Reeves called. Thompson, Internal Affairs reviewed your file. They're escalating, recommending a full probe into Harlan for misuse of emergency services. His complaints on ice. I pumped my fist silently. Thanks, Captain. This is the reversal we needed. But watch it, he warned. He's got council ties. They might push back. Sure enough, by noon, Richard emailed the department, copied me somehow. This is outrageous. Suspending my complaint, I'll take it higher. You can't silence concerned citizens. I forwarded it to Mills. More evidence of his push. She replied quick. Noted, we're building. Tensions rose as the day went on. More online rumors from his side. Like cops' vendetta threatens community. But neighbors messaged me support. Mr. Patel, we're with you. His lies won't stick. I met Lena for coffee after shift. He's counterattacking hard, but it's reversing. Public's turning. She smiled. Your evidence is key. Keep gathering. We're close to shutting him down. Driving home, I felt the shift. His pressure on my superiors backfired with the hold, and his online rally was crumbling. But he wasn't silenced yet. I knew he'd escalate more. Still, for now, the leverage was mine, and I was ready to push back harder. I sat at my desk the next morning, staring at the stack of evidence we'd built so far, feeling that mix of excitement and tension as the case against Richard deepened. The reversal from yesterday's internal affairs decision had given me a boost, putting his complaint on hold and opening a probe into him. But I knew he wouldn't stop without more pressure. I grabbed my coffee and dove back in, deciding to dig further into his communications with local officials, since his council connections kept coming up. Lena walked over with a fresh printout in her hand. Morning, Marcus. I pulled those public records requests overnight, emails from Richard to city council members. You're gonna love this. She handed me the pages and I scanned them quickly, my eyes widening at the content. Look at this one, I said, pointing to a message from 6 months ago. He's pushing for stricter loitering laws, saying it'll keep undesirables off the streets and protect our upscale communities. Undesirables, again with that word. And he specifies enforcement in areas with increasing diversity, which we know means targeting people of color. Lena nodded, sitting on the edge of my desk. Exactly. These laws would hit minorities hardest, more stops, more fines. He's got attachments with stats he twisted to show crime spikes in diverse neighborhoods, but I cross-checked. The data's cherry-picked. Real numbers show no correlation. I flipped through more emails, seeing a pattern of him lobbying for zoning changes too, arguing against affordable housing projects nearby. This one's to Councilman Briggs. We can't let low-income elements dilute our property values. Enforce these rules strictly. It's all tied to his real estate game, keeping Oakwood white and wealthy for better sales. We added the emails to the file, and I felt the exposure deepening, like peeling back layers of his facade. But I needed more, something personal to nail him. I picked up the phone and called Gladys again, since she'd been helpful before. Gladys, it's Marcus. You mentioned overhearing Richard's biased remarks. Got any specifics? We're building a report. She paused for a second, then spoke quietly. Well, yes. At the last HOA barbecue, he was chatting with some old-timers, didn't know I was nearby. Said something like, we gotta keep those types out, blacks and Latinos bringing down the vibe. My commissions depend on it. I was shocked, but I nodded along to not cause a scene. That's exactly what we need, I said, jotting it down. Would you confirm this in a statement? It could shift things big time. Gladys sighed. I suppose. He's getting out of hand with his posts and complaints. Come by this afternoon. I'll sign whatever you need. I thanked her and hung up, turning to Lena. Witness confirmation coming. Private biased remarks ties right into the discrimination pattern. Lena smiled. Nice. With this, your full report to Internal Affairs will be ironclad. Let's draft it now. We spent the next hour outlining the report, starting with the initial incident, then the call logs, social media, cam video, threats, complaints, emails, and now Gladys's statement. I typed up the summary. This shows ongoing prejudice affecting community and police resources. Recommend full investigation into his practices. Just as we finished, my email pinged, a message from Richard's lawyer, addressed to me and the department. I opened it and read aloud. Detective Thompson, cease all harassing activities against my client, Richard Harlan. Your unfounded investigation is defamatory and constitutes personal vendetta. We intend to pursue legal action for slander, emotional distress, and abuse of power. Provide all evidence immediately or face a lawsuit. Lena whistled, escalating to threats of suing you personally. Bold move. I felt a flash of anger, but it quickly turned to strategy. This backfires on him. It's more evidence of intimidation. Forward to Mills in Internal Affairs. I did just that, attaching a note. Latest from Harlan, legal threats. Adds to harassment pattern. Mills replied within minutes. Received. This strengthens our probe. Get that witness statement locked in. I headed out to Gladys's house that afternoon, the neighborhood looking quieter than usual, like the tension was building. She let me in, her dog wagging its tail as we sat at her kitchen table. I pulled out the statement form. Just describe what you heard, sign and date it. She wrote it out carefully, her hand steady. There. He said, can't have blacks jogging around like they own the place. It scares off buyers. And more about commissions dropping if the area diversifies. I read it over. Perfect. This confirms the bias in private. Thanks, Gladys. You're helping a lot. As I left, my phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Patel. Check the neighborhood group. Gladys just posted her story? I opened the Facebook app and saw it. Gladys had gone public, sharing a summary of what she'd heard from Richard without naming the barbecue specifically, but tagging the post with Tiger's Oakwood truth. Tired of the whispers. Richard Harlan's biased views are hurting our community. I heard him say minorities are bad for business. Time to speak up. Comments exploded, some shocked, others supportive. Mrs. Patel, we experienced it too. Thanks for sharing. Even the older guy from the meeting, if true, disappointing. Then Richard responded furiously, lies. This is a coordinated attack. Gladys, you'll hear from my lawyer. Spreading falsehoods won't stand. I watched the thread blow up. Community opinion shifting hard against him as more neighbors chimed in with their own stories. A former client. He steered me away from diverse areas. Now I see why. The post got shares outside the group, even hitting local X feeds. Back at the station, Lena met me with a grin. Saw the post. Witness going public? That's a game changer. His threat backfired. Now he's the one looking defensive. I nodded, adding Gladys's signed statement to the file. Yeah, and his lawyer email just fueled it. I sent the full report to Mills. Probe's deepening. Mills called shortly after. Thompson, report's solid. With the public backlash in this new statement, we're escalating to the real estate board for a license review. His counsel friends are distancing themselves. Too hot now. I felt satisfaction wash over me, the exposure hitting deeper than I expected. Richard's escalation with legal threats had only amplified the witness's voice, turning the neighborhood against him for good. But he wasn't done yet later that evening as I reviewed everything at home. Another email came from his lawyer. Despite your smears, we're filing suit tomorrow. Prepare for court. I forwarded it again, knowing it was desperate. The community shift was real. Posts kept coming, demands for accountability. I texted Gladys, your post made waves, thanks. She replied, had to. Can't let him bully anymore. As I set my phone down, the pieces felt locked in. The emails to officials exposed his systemic push. The witness confirmed the personal bias, and his threats backfired spectacularly. The report was out, the probe rolling, Richard's world was crumbling, and I was just getting started on the final push. I stood in the back of the community center that evening, my heart pounding like a drum as the room filled up with neighbors, council members, and even a few reporters who'd caught wind of the brewing scandal. The air was thick with tension, whispers buzzing like angry bees, and I clutched the thick file of evidence in my hands, call logs, videos, emails, witness statements, everything we'd gathered over these intense days. This was it, the climax I'd been building toward, the public showdown where I'd lay it all out and watch Richard's world crumble under the weight of his own bigotry. Captain Reeves had given the green light for me to present at this forum, calling it a community transparency meeting, but I knew it was my chance to confront him head on. The room quieted as Councilman Briggs banged a gavel on the table up front, his face stern under the fluorescent lights. All right, folks. We're here to address concerns about neighborhood safety and recent allegations of misconduct. Mr. Harlan, you requested this form to air your grievances against the police department. You have the floor first. Richard stood up from his seat in the front row, adjusting his tie with that smug confidence I'd come to hate, his lawyer hovering beside him like a shadow. He cleared his throat and stepped to the podium, scanning the crowd of about 50 people, mostly longtime residents, a mix of faces I'd seen during my patrols. Thank you, Councilman. Neighbors, friends, I've lived in Oakwood for 20 years, built my business here, kept our community safe and prosperous. But now I'm under attack by Detective Marcus Thompson, who's turned a simple safety call into a witch hunt. He's harassed me, spread lies about discrimination, even threatened me legally. This is reverse racism, plain and simple, and it's damaging our neighborhood's reputation. A few murmurs rippled through the room, some nods from his old cronies, but I caught Gladys shaking her head, the Patels exchanging glances. Richard pointed at me dramatically. That man right there, he's abused his badge to dig into my personal life, my business. I called the cops on a suspicious jogger. Turns out it was him undercover. Mistake? Sure. But now he's claiming bias? It's a vendetta because I dared to protect our property values. I demand his reassignment and an apology from the department. His voice rose, face flushing red, and his lawyer nodded vigorously. We've filed suit, the lawyer chimed in, holding up papers. For defamation and emotional distress. This stops now. The crowd shifted uneasily, and Councilman Briggs looked at me. Detective Thompson, your response? I walked to the front, feeling every eye on me, the humiliation from that first day fueling my steps. I set the file on the podium and plugged in my laptop to the projector, pulling up the slides I'd prepared with Lena, screenshots, timelines, everything. Thank you, Councilman. Richard, you've painted yourself as the victim, but let's look at the facts. It starts with your call on me, describing a black man jogging as shady and out of place. But it's not isolated. Here are dispatch logs, 6 calls in 18 months, all on minorities, delivery drivers, gardeners, families like the Washingtons. I clicked to the next slide, the logs blown up big. Gasps echoed as people leaned forward. Richard interrupted, slamming his hand on his chair. Those are private. How dare you expose that? It's legal to report suspicions. Public records, I shot back calmly. And here's security cam video from the day you called on me, you watching me jog. No threat, just staring because I didn't belong. Then your social media posts, keep out certain types to protect property values. Who emails to you, Councilman Briggs, pushing laws that target people of color? Briggs's face paled as the email slide appeared, his own name highlighted. That was taken out of context, he stammered, but the room erupted in whispers. Richard lunged forward, face twisted in rage. Lies, you're twisting everything. My business depends on a safe, upscale area. That's not bias, that's reality. You people come in and... You people, I repeated loudly, letting it hang. There it is again. And here's more. Complaints from clients you steered away because of their race. The Patels here can attest. You delayed their paperwork, said it wasn't a good fit. Mr. Patel stood up. It's true, he tried to block us. We have emails too. Richard whirled on him. Sit down, you. This is my meeting. Gladys, you traitor, posting those fabrications online. I'll sue you all. Gladys rose, her voice steady. I heard you at the barbecue, Richard. Can't have blacks jogging around. It scares off buyers. Your words, not mine. And now the whole neighborhood knows. The crowd turned then, outrage building. Mrs. Washington called out, You humiliated my family too. Called us loiterers for walking to my sister's house. We're not standing for this. Richard's lawyer tried to intervene. This is out of order. We're leaving. But the murmurs grew to shouts. Explain yourself, Richard. Is this why property taxes are high? Discrimination in our backyard? I pressed on, showing the threats next and texts and voicemails traced to him. You even threatened me to back off, but it didn't work. This is a pattern of prejudice, wasting police time, hurting people for your profits. Richard lashed out, voice cracking. You're ruining me. All because I called once? This is unfair, counsel. Stop this. Briggs banged the gavel. Enough, detective, your evidence is compelling. Mr. Harlan, these allegations are serious. The real estate board will hear about this. The room exploded in applause from most, a few of Richard's friends looking away in shame. Richard stood there, isolated, sweat beading on his forehead. His reputation shattering in real time as phones came out, recording the reckoning. He glared at me, defeated but defiant. You'll pay for this, Thompson. Mark my words. I stared back, feeling the weight lift. No, Richard, you're the one paying now. As the meeting adjourned in chaos, neighbors approached me, shaking my hand. While Richard stormed out with his lawyer, the crowd parting like he was poison. This public exposure had left him crumbling, alone in the mess he'd made. But it wasn't over yet. The consequences were just starting. The days after that explosive community forum felt like a whirlwind, with the neighborhood still buzzing from the showdown. And I could finally see the cracks in Richard's armor turning into full-blown fractures. I drove back to the station that night, the adrenaline still pumping through my veins as I replayed the crowd's reaction in my head. The gasps, the shouts, the way they turned on him like a pack realizing their leader was the real wolf. Lena was waiting for me in the parking lot, leaning against her car with a takeout bag in hand. "Saw the live stream some neighbor posted," she said, handing me a burger. "You nailed him, Marcus." The look on his face when you showed those emails, priceless. I unwrapped the burger, taking a bite as we walked inside. "Yeah, but he's not down yet." His lawyer was whispering in his ear the whole time, probably plotting the next move. "Did internal affairs follow up?" She nodded, unlocking the office door. "Mills called while you were there. The real estate board's launching a full investigation into his license based on your report. Discriminatory practices, steering clients, they take that seriously. Could lead to suspension or revocation." I sat at my desk, pulling up my email to see the official notice already waiting. Good. And the department's review on his false reports? Wasting resources with those biased calls. "Ongoing," Lena said, scrolling her phone. "But with the probe, he's facing fines too. Look at this, online. His agency's getting slammed." Reviews pouring in. "Avoid Harlan Properties' racist owner." Clients canceling listings left and right. I leaned back, feeling a sense of justice settling in. But it was mixed with the lingering sting of what he'd put me through. He deserves it. All those people he targeted, humiliated, now it's his turn. But I bet he's not taking it lying down. As if on cue, my phone rang. "Captain Reeves. Thompson, heads up." Harlan just tried to pull strings with the council again, but Briggs shut him down. Said the evidence is too damning. "You're getting a commendation for exposing this community trust initiative or something." I smiled for the first time in days. "Thanks, Captain. Means a lot." Any pushback? "Minimal," he replied. His suit threat? His lawyer backed off after seeing the forum video. Too much public heat. I hung up and turned to Lena. "Commendation incoming, and his lawsuit's dead in the water." She high-fived me. "About time. Let's celebrate drinks tomorrow." "Deal," I said, but my mind was already on the bigger picture. The next morning, I woke to more updates, a text from Mills. "Board investigation confirmed. Harlan's license under review. Preliminary findings support discrimination claims. Fines pending, up to $50,000. I headed to the station, where the buzz was all about Oakwood. Officer Ramirez stopped me in the hall. "Detective, heard about the forum. That guy Harlan, what a piece of work. You did good calling him out." "Thanks," I replied, clapping his shoulder. "Just doing the job." But then Gladys called as I sat down. "Marcus, you won't believe it. Richard's house has a for sale sign up already. Word is, his business is tanking, lost 3 big clients overnight after the posts went viral." I pictured it, him packing boxes in defeat. "He's jumping ship, cowardly but smart. Can't face the neighbors." She laughed lightly. "And the HOA booted him from the board this morning. Voted unanimously. Mr. Patel's taking over, says they're starting diversity workshops." "That's progress," I said, feeling empowered. "Thanks for keeping me in the loop." By afternoon, Lena rushed in with printouts. "Check this, State Real Estate Commission's report. Confirmed violations, steering biased lobbying. License suspended for 6 months, mandatory ethics training. And he's paying restitution to affected clients, like the Patels and Washingtons. Small amounts, but symbolic." I scanned the document, seeing the fines listed. $10,000 to the board, plus community service. Not enough, but it's a start. His reputation's shot. No one's touching his agency now. She nodded. "And look online. His ex-account's deleted. Facebook groups kicking him out. Isolated for real." But Richard wasn't silent. Late that day, I got a call from an unknown number. Him, sounding broken. "Thompson, this is Richard Harlan. We need to talk." I put it on speaker for Lena to hear. "What do you want, Richard? Your threats didn't work." He sighed, voice shaky. "Okay, fine. I messed up. That call on you, the others, it was wrong. I was just trying to protect my business, property values, commissions. But I see now it hurt people." I rolled my eyes. "See now? After getting caught? That's not an apology, that's damage control." "I'm sorry," he muttered. "Really. The board's killing me. Lost my license temp, fines eating my savings, clients gone. Even my ex is laughing. Can you call it off? Tell them it was a misunderstanding?" Lena mouthed, "No way," and I agreed. "Too late, Richard. You targeted people like me for years. Face the consequences, maybe learn from it." He paused, then snapped. "You ruined my life over one call. I'll fight this, appeal the suspension, sue the department anyway." "Go ahead," I said calmly. "But the evidence is ironclad. Good luck." He hung up and Lena chuckled. Weak apology, he's crumbling. The next week brought more. A local news article. Local realtor faces backlash for discriminatory practices. Quoted me anonymously, detailed the forum, the probe. Richard's business phone disconnected. House sold quick at a loss. Then the commendation ceremony at the station, small but meaningful. Captain Reeves pinned the badge. For outstanding work in community relations and exposing bias, Detective Thompson. Applause from the team, even Hale and Ramirez there. Proud of you, Reeves said. This strengthens trust, shows we're on the right side. I nodded, thinking of the humiliation turned triumph. Thanks, it's for everyone he wronged. After, Jamal Washington texted, saw the news, thanks for pushing, got a small check from the board. More importantly, feels like justice. I replied, glad to help, stay strong. But Richard's final hit came via email from his lawyer. Mr. Harlan withdrawing all complaints. Agrees to no contact order, seeking counseling. I showed Lena, he's done. Professional setbacks ongoing, lawsuit from residents brewing, like the cafe he reported falsely. She raised her coffee. To consequences. We clinked mugs and I felt closure starting. Richard's influence gone, his business in ruins, social standing trashed. He couldn't harm anyone easily now. For me, the commendation boosted my career, patrols easier with community support. It wasn't just revenge, it was change. Months after the Forum showdown, I looked around Oakwood Estates during my morning patrol, noticing how things had shifted in ways I never expected. The once tense streets now feeling a bit lighter, with neighbors waving instead of watching suspiciously. I'd been back on undercover duty, but with a difference, people knew me now, trusted me more. And it made the job easier, less about blending in and more about building connections. I parked at the edge of the park, sipping my coffee, when my phone buzzed with a text from Lena. Check the news. Harlan's final nail in the coffin. I pulled up the local site on my phone, and there it was. A headline, local realtor Richard Harlan hit with lawsuit from former clients, faces additional fines. The article detailed how the Patels, the Washingtons, and even that black-owned cafe he'd reported falsely had banded together in a class action suit, citing discrimination and lost opportunities, with the real estate board piling on more penalties after their review. His temporary suspension had turned permanent, his agency shuttered, and he'd sold his house at a steep loss to cover the mounting debts. I scrolled through the comments, mostly satisfaction from the community, a few pitying him, but overall, a sense of relief that his influence was gone for good. I set the phone down, leaning back in my seat, feeling that final wave of justice wash over me, turning the humiliation he'd caused into something empowering. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about everyone he'd stepped on to protect his little empire. I radioed into the station. Hey, dispatch, Thompson here. Quiet morning in Oakwood, heading to check the east side. Copy that, detective, the voice crackled back. Heard about Harlan. Good riddance. Yeah, I replied. World's a bit fairer now. Later that afternoon, I met up with Gladys at her house for a quick check-in. She'd invited me over for tea, saying she had updates. I knocked and she opened the door with her dog at her heels, smiling wide. Marcus, come in. The neighborhood's talking about you like a hero. Sit, I made cookies. I stepped inside, the warm smell hitting me, and sat at her kitchen table. Thanks, Gladys. Just doing my job. What's the latest? She poured the tea, sliding a plate over. Richard's gone. Moved out last week to some apartment downtown. Lost everything, business, house, even his golf club membership. The HOA's thriving under Mr. Patel now. We're starting those awareness programs you suggested, workshops on bias, community events to bring everyone together. I nodded, biting into a cookie. That's great. Makes all this worth it. No more calls on joggers or walkers? She laughed. Not a one. People are opening up, sharing stories. Even Mrs. Washington hosted a barbecue last weekend. Whole block came. Feels like a fresh start. We chatted for a bit, her telling me about the changes, and I shared how the commendation had led to a small promotion, more responsibility and community outreach. It's empowering, I said. Turn that painful day into something positive. Gladys patted my hand. You deserve it. Stood up when others wouldn't. Proud of you, son. As I left, Mr. Patel waved from across the street. Detective, quick word? I walked over, shaking his hand. What's up? He grinned. The lawsuit's moving forward. Board's making Richard pay restitution. We got checks already. But more than money, it's the acknowledgement. Thanks to you exposing him. I shrugged modestly. Team effort. Your stories helped seal it. And the workshops, he added. First one's next week. You're speaking? Wouldn't miss it, I said. Let's keep the momentum. Driving back to the station, I reflected on how far we'd come. From that humiliating standoff on the sidewalk to this, a neighborhood addressing its biases head-on. The anger I'd felt had evolved into purpose, knowing I'd helped break a cycle. Lena met me in the bullpen with files. Paperwork on Harlan's case closed. Fines paid, license revoked permanently after the appeal failed. He's done in real estate. I flipped through the docs. And the no-contact order holds. No more threats. She leaned against my desk. How you feeling? Closure? Yeah, I admitted. Started with me feeling like an outsider, but now, part of the change. That evening, I headed home to my apartment, the sun setting orange over the city. And for the first time in a while, I cooked a real meal instead of takeout, steak and veggies. Simple but satisfying. My phone rang mid-bite, Jamal, Washington. Detective, just wanted to say thanks again. The kids are playing outside without worry now. That restitution helped with school stuff too. Glad to hear it, I replied. You all deserve peace. He paused. Heard Richard's in therapy or something, court-mandated after the suit. Maybe he'll change. Maybe, I said. But if not, he can't hurt anyone here anymore. We hung up and I sat back, the weight fully lifted. The villain had faced his consequences, professional ruin, financial hits, social isolation. And it ensured he couldn't repeat his harm easily, his power stripped away. For me, it was growth. From humiliated cop to commended detective, patrols now with purpose, community backing me. A few weeks later, at the workshop in the community center, I stood at the podium, looking out at familiar faces, Gladys, the Patels, the Washingtons, even Sergeant Hale there for support. Thanks for coming, I started. We've all seen what unchecked bias does, divides us, hurts innocence. But exposing it, that builds trust. Questions came, how to spot profiling, what to do if targeted, I answered honestly. Report it, gather evidence, stand together like we did. After, Keisha Washington approached. Your story inspired us, thinking of volunteering for patrols. I smiled. We need more like you. As the event wrapped, Captain Reeves pulled me aside. Good work, Thompson. This program's expanding citywide because of Oakwood's success. Proud to be part of it, I said. Driving home that night, I thought back to that first jog, the sirens, the humiliation. It could have broken me, but instead, it sparked change for me, the neighborhood, others like me. I felt empowered, ready for whatever came next, knowing one person's stand could ripple out. And with Richard diminished, facing ongoing setbacks like that lawsuit dragging on, his attempts to rebuild thwarted by his tarnished rep, justice had prevailed. Happy? Yeah, in a real way, personal growth, community healing, a fairer world. That's the win. Now let me ask you honestly, if you were threatened, slandered, or forced to accept money to lie, would you have the courage to say no? Tell me about a time in your life when you were forced to remain silent to avoid trouble. If this story reminds you that your voice also has value, please like to support those who dare to speak up. Share so that one more person doesn't have to bow their head, and subscribe. Because this world needs more people like... On screen right now, you'll see 2 news stories I think you'll really enjoy. There are many more waiting for you on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. See you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself and the people you love. With all my love and respect.